And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children.
This is what we have to do. We have to make sure that we in our household teach these commandments to our children. We have to make sure that everybody in the house is in order, under one accord, teaching and following these commandments. Read that again.
And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children.
Diligently means the Bible. Means all that other foolishness. You have to socially steer your house. Don't have some craziness, foolishness on your television, on your phones and all of that. Having the wrong kind of people coming in and out of your house. These are the things that's gonna mess your whole system up. You got to make sure that things that comes through your door is 100% compliance to keeping the commandments. Whether it's your children, anybody that come through there. If these rules are not obeyed, you will not come in. That's how you got to be. Read.
And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
There should always be an example. There should always be a conversation about the Bible with your children. There should always be. There's plenty of things that you can use, because people go outside, you go to school, you go to the store, whatever. There's so much evil out here. You can just bring it up and say, where is this spoken of in the Bible, and have that conversation.
Scenarios.
Huh?
Scenarios.
Scenarios. Thank you. Scenarios. Plenty of scenarios. Read.
And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes.
What is this talking about? And thou shalt bind these commandments upon thy hand, and what?
And they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes.
This is known as the mark of God. Wait a minute now. Put my glasses on. This is known as the mark of God. Y'all all heard about what's called the mark of the beast, correct?
Yes, sir.
The mark of the beast, what they say in your forehead or in your hand, is saying the same thing here. So you either have the mark of God in your head, or you have the mark of Satan in your head. That's how it goes. That's who's doing it. Either God is going to socially steer you, or Satan is going to socially steer you. It's trying to steer us beyond the horizon for us to get to where we need to go, or take us to destruction. That's what we have to be mindful of. Okay, read that again.
Jake going off. Shalom. First off, I want to start up by saying all praises, honor, and glory is due to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakadash. Just all praises to the world-class God, whose true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh, by Hashem meaning in the name, and Yahushai being the name of the only begotten Son. Double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone, peace and mercy to the whole elect, preaching this word in truth and sincerity. I'm the brother talks about a great millstone, Arizona camp, Lord will, with another video to edify. And yeah, Jake going off again, right off the deep end, and breaking down scriptures wrong for a lack of looking up words, and for a disdain of just listening to other men. All right. And it's all off the fact that this camp sold out. It makes no sense how an everyday Christian can see what the MOTB is, but then you somehow conflate the argument and pull in the MOTB with the mark of the Heavenly Father, and we're gonna get into it. But this is Proverbs 25:9. It says, "Debate thy cause with thy neighbor himself, and discover not a secret to another." Now, when you go to that word debate, man, I had a call coming from my brother, but when you go to that word debate, right here in the Hebrew, it says Ra'ab, Ra'yab, Ra'yabah. So Ra'yab, it means to strive, contend, strive physically with words, contend a case or suit, legal, sue, to make a complaint, quarrel, contend against. When you go to the Strong's, though, It says it right here. Hold a controversy by implication to defend. So you're going to have to defend that argument. And one of the things that you got to defend in your argument is how, with you having Esau's philosophy and his control of you, are you able to buy and sell? How many sinful thoughts do you have to get a loaf of bread? Because when you go to Revelation, the 13th chapter, right, in the 16th verse, it says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive the mark, a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell save he that hath the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So you're going to have to show us what system, because all systems go through phases to be uploaded. All systems go through phases to be implemented. And what y'all saying that somehow this devil, at one point it was an embargo, another point it was a philosophy, another point it was sleeping with the white woman, at a different point in time for y'all it was Cesare's Christ. Show us how many Jesus pieces and how many Rosemarys and Hail Marys would you have to say or present for you to buy a loaf of bread. The argument doesn't make sense. The argument doesn't make sense. And what's more is you got to go into words, right? Because when you go to the prologue of Sirach, there's a reason why you got to go into words. And we don't go into words because this is just a pastime. We go into words because these languages have been changed so much. And words have been changed and the meaning of things have been changed. And you go to the prologue and things like this, where it tells you in the prologue of Sirach, it says it right here. It says, I'm going to start. Where we at? I'm going to start right. Look at the top of the screen. Right there. Where it says, to the intent that those which are desirous to learn and are addicted to these things. Man, a lot of brothers doing videos. And addicted to these things might profit much more in living according to the law. Wherefore let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us wherein we may seem to come short of some words which we have labored to interpret, for the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them. And not only these things, but the law itself and the prophets and the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken in their own language. So there's no small difference. It's a huge difference when you go into these words. All right. And where I'm going to start off with that is the fact that he tried to compare, right? He tried to compare the difference between the mark and Daniel. Right here, Daniel 9:4 says, and Yahweh said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that are done in the midst thereof. Right? And somehow he turns that into, right? Somehow you put forehead and hand into this scripture to try to compare it to Revelation. Well, when you go into this word mark, in Ezekiel, the 9th chapter, it's a completely different word and meaning than Revelation, the 13th chapter. So this word mark in Ezekiel 9 and 4 is right here. And it says ta wa, the wa, right? And it says desire mark as a sign of exemption from judgment, right? This is a spiritual thing, and only the elect are going to have that mark, because the only ones that are going to be exempt for judgment are the ones that the Lord predestinated to get that exemption, to receive the mercies of David. Right? You go back into David committed all these sins, and the Lord gave him mercies, the sure mercies, right? Even passed it down to his sons in his lineage, going to Solomon first, on through to Yahushai, right? Who was Solomon in the reincarnation. But this mark here, an exemption from judgment, is completely different from Revelation, the 13th chapter. And going into the 16th verse, where that word mark, in Revelation 13 and 16, where it says he received a mark in their right hand or their foreheads. Well, when you go there, you go to that word mark, it goes into the word charagma. Let's see if it has the same definition for an exemption of judgment. Charagma, it says a stamp and imprinted mark of the mark stamped on the foreheads of the right hands as a badge of the followers of the anti-Messiah, which there are many anti-Messiahs. If they go against the teachings of Yahushai at all, you're anti-Messiah. There's many anti-Messiahs out here. It says a mark branded upon horses, thing carved, sculpture, graven work. And even when you go into the root word, because this is really a compound word, karax, charagma, right? And grapho, right? When you go into the root word, the first portion talked about how there's going to be something cut into. The second portion goes into the delivery method. When you look up the implantable C-hip, right? You go to the implantable C-hip and you look at the delivery method in which they use right here. This is the delivery method. So when you go into that word karax, which is the root word for one of the root words for charagma, it goes into right here. A palisade, a pale or stake palisade. So when John the Revelator was seeing these things, this is what he saw. So what are the things that he saw in his time? Being that the Roman Empire was there. Roman Empire would set up forts with palisades around them. And this is what John the Revelator compared this delivery method to. Now, this C-hip right here is the branding, right? The thing that's small as a grain of rice, that's the branding. That goes into the charagma portion. This is the palisade, goes into karax portion. Right? The needle is the palisade, goes into the karax. The actual C-hip is the charagma portion. Right? Now you go to the root word. Now it goes into the technology of it all, which is grapho. And I'm going to just jump down to the point. It says, to commit to writing things not to be forgotten, write down or recording. That goes into the technology portion of this all, right? That shows whether or not you're in the system, shows what you're using in the system, and this all plays into the money portion of this thing. Because now it gives you an identity to be tied into the system, to be quantified, and for them to be able to say whether or not you can buy or sell in the system. Now tell me somebody that could do that and show me what system is on this earth right now that's showing you that this is gearing up to be the MOTB system. Because it ain't just no sin. It's going to be a sin for you to get it, But why aren't they preaching against you getting it? Because the scriptures tell you, going back to the law, you're not supposed to make any cuttings in thy flesh. But at the same time, they're not renouncing you getting a C-hip. This is just, like the scriptures say, you're foxes in the desert. You ain't gone into the gaps. You haven't gone into these words and the prophecies to be able to make it so that Israel could stand in the day of battle, man. Neither have they spoken on what was that beast. Right? There's a system, an image, an association that beast has. The beast is going into this revised Roman Empire. You go back to the book of Daniel when it gives you the 4 beasts. Right? Those are 4 empires. And we're in that last one. Right? We're in that last empire waiting for it to crumble now. And it's crumbling. And they're getting ready to push this thing forward. But you got men playing games and acting like this is a game. Nah, man, this is going to be reality. It said that no man might buy or sell save he that hath the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here's wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. And his number is 666. Right? Now you taking it there's a spiritual implication because they're stabbing you through with something, and you go back to the law. It talks about the old. If you had a servant, which we've been made servants in this devil's kingdom, and we're getting ready to come to the day where we have the opportunity, and Lord will, through the Spirit of the Lord, we take it fully, the opportunity to get out of this devil's system and be made free. But everything that you have in this society, Esau owns it. Your woman, your kids. Let you say something against the way this devil has set up his society. Watch how your woman is in defense of however this society is set up. Right? It's, Exodus 21:1, it says, "Now these are the judgments which thou shalt set before them. If thou buy an Hebrew servant, 6 years shall he serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. And if he came in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he were married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master have given him a wife," and all these women that brothers got, even me, man. Right? Your woman belonged to Esau, man. Her mindset, even now, with them being in the truth, is towards whatever Esau promotes. So we were giving these women first by the Lord, but really they're owned by Esau still, man. That's why when they go to work, they get the best part of them at work, and you get the refuse. It says, if his master have given him a wife, she have borne him a son or daughters, the wife and her children shall be the master's, and he shall go out by himself. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, and that's what it's going to come down to. There's a reason why the Lord said, he that shall save his life shall lose it, but he that shall lose his life for my sake shall save it. There's a lot of men that are going to say this. I love my kids. I love my wife. I don't want to leave them. Right? It says, I will not go out free. There's a lot of niggas that are going to do. They did it with the jab. They did it with the juicy juice for the C-vid. A lot of niggas said, well, I got to feed my family. Well, we told you not to trust the devil, and look how many niggas got it. And now you got all type of new health issues. C-vid coming back on the rise. I know people that's getting taken down by it, and they've gotten the juicy juice. And they all fucked up. Still thinking, oh, wow, I got it because it's gonna lessen how bad I get it the next time. Man, go through it. says, then his master shall bring him unto the judges, and he shall also bring him unto the door, or unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. And that's what this mark, just like it was physical for them to go through your ear, and just like it's a physical mark you put on somebody or your livestock, right, is what Esau is going to do with you. But this is going to be a digital awl. This is going to be a digital branding. It's completely different from the one that's spoken of in Ezekiel, the 9th chapter. 2 different words, 2 different meanings. But you got to be willing to go through that search. But these men just wing it. They come up with whatever they want, because look, they even got the QR code on the side of the screen so money can come in. It's all the money. It's all a market for gain. It's all a market for gain, man. And that's why when it comes down time to it, they're gonna tell you to go ahead and get it. How else you gonna feed your family? Well, at that point, you gotta see it in your mind and be like, well, if I can't buy or sell without this thing, is this the MOTB? Right? Is this that CHIP that GMS was talking about? And you gonna have to make a decision, man. But a lot of people are getting chauffeured on to the destruction because they don't want to do the research. They want to just blindly follow men. Well, you got to be like the Church of Berea in this thing. It says the Church of Berea was more noble than them all, for they searched the scriptures diligently to see whether or not those things were true. And it's almost like you ain't even got to search the scriptures, because brothers will share their screen when they do these lessons and break down the words and show you each word. I mean, look at the Internet of Things, blockchain technology, CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, brand new touchless payment systems. How those touchless payment systems can be integrated with that CHIP. All these things lead to the MOTB and that system being propped up in these last days. And somehow men sit here and act like Esau, a carnal man, is going to give you a spiritual marking. No, the Lord is spiritual, and he gives the elect a spiritual marking. Esau's carnal, and he has a carnal marking. Shalom.